Search the world to find the most exotic, amazing, and unbelievable places, featuring views that will leave you breathless. On the southern strip of Las Vegas, this hidden club lets you control the fountain view.
That view is worth more than $250,000.
Costing over $30 million.
Oh my God.
It'll take nerves of steel to experience this glass skywalk.
Watch out.
North of the Grand Canyon, this historic lodge will give you a million-year-old perspective.
These are the best views that I've ever seen.
110%.
Back in Sin City, this beach club will take the heat off your trip as we uncover the surprising stories and amazing views from top of the world, beyond Vegas. You may be feeling that Vegas is a little overexposed, so we wanted to suggest you start your Vegas trip by exploring the sites within day trip range. So, with that in mind, crank the AC and head northeast. Just 90 miles from Sin City, you'll find the western rim of the Grand Canyon. The Colorado River spent 5 or 6 million years carving out the Grand Canyon, and during its 277-mile excavation, it managed to reach depths of over 6,000 feet. More than 5 million people make their way to the edge of the rim each year to carefully take a peek into the abyss. But there's a better way for you to prove your nerves of steel and bravery. The Western Rim is home to the amazing sights from the gravity-defying Grand Canyon Skywalk. How it came to be built is almost as fascinating as the views from its glass walkway, which towers 800 paralyzing feet above the canyon floor.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
As you walk, you get that feeling that you're literally almost walking on air.
For more than 100 years, visitors have sought the incredible views from the canyon, lining up on mules or river rafts in an effort to see it all. Most of these excursions leave from the well-worn southern rim wall, and entrepreneurs have been trying for decades to convince people to see some of the lesser-known views from the amazing Western Rim. The land in this area is owned by the Hualapai tribe of Native Americans.
Our people go back 6,000 years here at Grand Canyon West. The tribe owns 108 miles of the Grand Canyon and Colorado River. We actually have just under 1 million acres of reservation land.
They were approached by businessman David Jin with an outrageous idea: build an unsupported 30-foot all-glass walkway over the canyon. He won them over, and the search began for someone crazy enough to pull it off.
Things start off unique, and this one happened to be on a phone call of a person saying, hey, can you build a bridge over the Grand Canyon? And I thought it was a practical joke and said, sure, we can build anything. And within about 2 hours, I was sitting in front of David Jin and realized he was very serious about this, and it went from there.
With the team in place, the Hualapai tribe blessed the site, and testing could begin.
I think we went maybe 45 feet deep. We put all these micropiles in, the reinforcing in the footings, and we felt like with the geological and the geotechnical information that we had a very safe foundation system.
Surprisingly, though, gravity wasn't their only concern.
You can have some really crazy winds right here on the edge of the cliff. Winds blowing on top of the cliff, winds coming up the cliff, winds going down the cliff.
Drilling for the foundation took more than a year, and another team of engineers spent that time manufacturing the massive steel and glass sections for the overhang. These panels of glass are actually 5 1-inch layers glued together, and the 10-foot-long sections had to survive the long, rough ride from Utah.
This is a very remote location. I mean, you had over, I think it was 14 miles of very rugged dirt road, and you got semi-truck loads of equipment coming in and huge things. It was a nightmare.
They assembled the walkway on site. The pieces of the bridge were put into place and welded together once aligned.
Each and everything had to be done precisely, slowly, and with purpose.
A special manipulator was designed to lift the glass panels onto the Grand Canyon Skywalk with large suction cups. Engineers used the same rod and plate method used in the Egyptian pyramids to roll it out over the Grand Canyon.
And I said, you know, what happens if it starts to get away? How do you stop this giant contraption? And the fellow in charge of us said, it's real simple. You just throw a little bit of cat litter in front of it, it'll stop it dead in its tracks. And that's what was used.
2.5 years after the groundbreaking ceremony, the Skywalk finally opened, and both it and the views proved to be worth the wait. The Skywalk has been a hit since the first day it opened.
This is awesome.
And tourism has increased from barely 1,000 people a year before it was built to now more than 1 million.
There's no other way to see the edge like this, so it's fantastic.
This is the best way to see the canyon.
They come for many reasons. To walk on air.
YOLO.
Overcome a fear of heights. To reconfirm marriage vows.
We're having our 25th anniversary. It's a special day for us, so we thought, you know what better place than come here to the Skywalk and see the Grand Canyon from this point of view.
Or just to take in the fabulous sights. On your way back to the lights and glamour of Vegas, we suggest you head just a little past the Strip for some of the more off-the-beaten-path sights. Just a stone's throw away is Red Rock Canyon. It's located between the Mojave Desert and Death Valley, and with less than 6 inches of annual rainfall, you'd better be prepared to bring your own water. There aren't any roads back into these colorful canyons, so the best way to make it to these incredible views is on horseback or on foot. Your efforts will be rewarded with incredible views of 6 different mountain peaks and a series of red sandstone walls called the Keystone Trust. Two brothers recognized the appeal of this awe-inspiring desert wilderness, and they realized they had the perfect opportunity to bring a little civilization to the views. So, in 2005, they opened the Red Rock Resort. Although the Red Rock Resort isn't on the Strip, it still has a very Las Vegas story. After working on the Strip for nearly 2 decades, pit boss turned entrepreneur Frank Fertitta Jr. decided to start his own casino. He wanted to build one targeting locals, not tourists.
He really had this vision that he wanted a place for locals to go that was away from the tourists, and everyone thought he was crazy.
And within a decade, he proved naysayers wrong and built an empire of 19 properties. And when he retired in 1993, his sons Frank and Lorenzo took the company public, determined not only to uphold their father's legacy, but to expand upon it with big dreams of their own.
Frank and Lorenzo really had a vision.
They wanted to build a luxurious crown jewel to the family business. And after scouring the Southwest for a location, they realized that nearby Red Rock Canyon had the perfect views. Many thought they were crazy. The location was just too removed from the Strip to support the incredible level of luxury they had planned. The brothers were determined to never forget that although their guests might enjoy luxury, they were coming to the canyon to get in touch with nature and to feel a part of the land.
It's absolutely gorgeous. There's sweeping views of all the canyons. You can see all the red rocks. You can see the brown canyons. It's amazing.
The natural beauty of the red rocks are absolutely stunning.
Their design included 815 top-of-the-line rooms, a pool oasis spread over 3 acres, and every inch of glass possible revealing the Red Rock Canyon Preserve. It was a dangerous gamble in a city known for stretching things too thin. When the property opened on March 15, 2005, the brothers were proven right. The Red Rocks Hotel lobby is swathed in hand-oiled brown Macassar ebony wood, teakwood sandstone, and Michelangelo marble. The shapes, colors, and designs throughout the structure mimic the surrounding rocky desert landscape. The glitz of Las Vegas shines through 3.1 million pieces of crystal used throughout the property, including a 32-foot-high chandelier in the rotunda and a waterfall column in the Lucky Bar. And the brothers had another surprise in store. They created a one-of-a-kind suite designed to give legendary views of everything from Red Rock Canyon all the way to the Strip. They called it, of course, the 180 Suite. At just $10,000 a night, this 7,500 square foot, 2-bedroom suite features just about everything you could want for your weekend away from home. There's a massive private patio with a jacuzzi big enough for you and 9 of your friends. And when you've toweled off and moved inside, you can marvel at the 108-inch plasma in the private theater. You probably didn't come here to sleep, but the extra-large bed creates the perfect vantage point for a starlit view of the city, rivaled only by the crystal-clear view of pretty much the entire universe. Two brothers never lost sight of their vision to outdo their father and to bring the extreme canyon views to you. Amazing visuals combined with luxurious nightlife have proven a great mix in this oasis in the high desert. Coming up, you'll find the Vegas vistas riveting from this tribute to European views.
You get to see everything all at once.
You spent a few days making day trips outside Vegas, and now it's finally time to hit the Strip. The Southern Strip, to be exact, where you can have some of the biggest views in all of Vegas. There's a lot of people coming to Vegas, more than 40 million a year. More than 500 people a day get married on the Strip, and afterwards they almost always hit one of the more than 100 buffets in the city. The shrimp consumption in Las Vegas is over 60,000 pounds per day, higher than the rest of the nation combined. When someone decides to build a casino in Vegas, it takes more than a huge buffet to make it successful. And even location takes a backseat to a few other things, like capacity. And Vegas has 6 of the top 10 largest hotels in the world. They're all within a mile of each other.
Every building here has a story.
With 3,933, the Bellagio Hotel has more rooms than the number of residents in Bellagio, Italy. It would take over 340 years for one person to spend one night in every hotel room in Vegas. The other thing your new casino needs to do is stand out. And in Vegas, that seems to mean it needs a theme. It needs to look like a castle, or an Egyptian wonder, or a European city. Or you need to have a shiny megastructure out front to lure in the tourists, something like a giant statue, or some fancy water spraying, or a blinding beam of light, or a huge metal cat. But there's one iconic structure on the Strip that transcends mere tourist trap, and its replica so well done, it actually draws more visitors than the original it's based on. We're talking about the incredible Eiffel Tower at Paris, Las Vegas. Just like the original tower in Paris, there's an observation deck here, and you could slide up the arm rail for a breathtaking view stretching 350 miles into the desert. You probably can't see your house from up here, but you can see every hotel and casino on the entire Strip.
You get to see everything all at once.
But plan your trip carefully and pack your patience, because you'll be waiting in line to experience the most popular view in the city. And while you wait, think about how this monument came to be. In the mid-90s, Bally's decided to build a new casino on the 24-acre plot right next door. But they needed that ever-important theme, After rejecting ideas based on the Washington Monument and even Mount Rushmore, their ideas headed east to Europe. In 1995, Bally's chairman Arthur Goldberg announced they'd settled on the perfect idea: replicate in full size one of the most famous structures in the world, the Eiffel Tower.
To get the public's attention, you gotta go big.
Architect Joel Bergman and his son traveled to Paris to use the original plans. Gustave Eiffel created his tower for the 1889 World's Fair, and it was critical for the Vegas team to get their version identical. But as you may have guessed, there was a problem. A big problem. The original was just too big. It's 100 stories high, a true megastructure of the 18th century, and far too big for even Vegas. It would be directly in the flight path of nearby McCarran Airport. So when they broke ground in 1997, designers had decided to reduce it to about half scale. This choice changed the way they built the tower.
We used tubes, angles, whatever shapes we needed to accomplish the construction of it. It's all welded.
The original is riveted together, but the smaller size Vegas version allowed them to use traditional welds on over 5,000 tons of steel. But they had to weld on more than 300,000 fake rivets to match the look of the original. With an estimated cost of $760 million, it opened in 1999. They even got permission from the mayor of Paris to duplicate the lighting of the original. And the only thing better than the tower itself are the views of the southern strip it can give you.
The view here is just amazing. You can see down the strip and up the strip, and it's just beautiful. It's mesmerizing.
Even at half size, it dwarfs the 33-story Paris Hotel. The tower tops off at 541 feet. That's just a tick under 50 stories. And it still captures the grandeur of the original. And there was another bonus. The reduced size allowed architects to better integrate it into their overall design.
We wanted an element of it to be integrated to both the interior and the exterior.
The back leg of the tower actually comes down through the ceiling into the casino floor. And if fine dining is your thing, there's an excellent restaurant in the tower, not to be missed. And it's called, what else? The Eiffel Tower Restaurant. It can offer you some pretty great Parisian food to complement the 180-degree views of the Strip.
We have two ways of describing who we are. You come for the food, you stay for the view, or you come for the view and you stay for the food.
With so much care and attention to detail, views of the tower and from the tower will dominate your trip to Vegas. When we return, make a splash with the sights from this extravagant rooftop oasis. The temperature in Las Vegas has been known to spike up to over 115 degrees. So when your hot slots game is cooled off and you need to get out of the city, where can you go chill out? You don't have to drive very far. Less than 10 miles from the city, you can dip your toes in world-famous Lake Mead. About 7 million people a year experience the lake and its sights. It has more than 247 square miles to enjoy. And even with its water levels going through highs one day and lows the next, it's big enough to let you play with plenty of grown-up toys. Or you can just float and enjoy the view. With more than 4 trillion gallons of water, enough to cover the entire state of Connecticut 10 feet deep, Lake Mead is a unique, man-made oasis, and none of it would be possible without one amazing engineering feat holding it all in place: the Hoover Dam. It's awe-inspiring even today, nearly 85 years after its completion.
The scale of it is enormous.
You feel so small next to it.
You can come here and experience a record-setting public works marvel of the past.
Up close and personal is like, whoa, it's mind-blowing.
And get an amazing perspective of Lake Mead and Black Canyon. But what you may not know is there are some pretty fantastic cavernous views on the inside as well. The best way to see these unique off-limits areas is from your own private tour, but since that's a pretty tough thing to get, we'll just show you around instead.
When you look at Hoover Dam, it is almost like looking into the past.
In the early 1900s, engineers and geologists began searching for a good location to build a mega dam, which would solve several problems for folks of that era. They needed electricity. They needed to control the floods of the southern Colorado River. California needed water. And finally, everyone needed a job. The project was so big, they needed to get nearly 5,000 people a day to the job site and give them a place to crash at the end of their shift. That rough camp eventually became Boulder City, and more than 22,000 workers were needed to complete the dam. The base of the Hoover Dam is as thick as 2 football fields end to end. They started work on it in 1933 and completed it in 1935. In those 2 years, they poured concrete blocks in place for a total of more than 3.2 million yards of concrete. That's enough to pave a pretty nice highway from San Francisco to New York City. Despite how solid it looks today, that concrete is said to still be curing. And the inside of the dam is hollow and filled with the heavy equipment needed to maintain the dam and generate power for your home, assuming you live in one of the 8 million homes it services in California, Nevada, and Arizona. During construction, the Colorado River was diverted through these gigantic passageways, which eventually became overflow spillways. The 2 of them combined are able to handle more than 4 Niagara Falls worth of water.
The dam was originally built for flood control so that they can have a reliable source of water all year long.
When the slowly leaking walls remind you of all the weight and pressure of the concrete and water above you, you can make your escape out of the belly of the beast and up to the fresh air and stunning views from the top of the dam.
Just look around, we were able to see the entire world.
I didn't realize the sheer massiveness of the dam.
You're as high as a 60-story building up here, and the curve, designed to help hold back the water, just happens to get you some awesome views of every nook and cranny of the structure. So you've had enough of Lake Mead, and you're probably feeling a little isolated after your time in the high desert. So we suggest getting together with all of your friends and heading to the Southern Strip for an interesting spin on the beach party lifestyle. Because with Vegas temps hitting 115 degrees or higher in the summer, you'll need a place to cool down. And we found the hottest ticket with the most seductive views and vibe on the Strip, Dre's Beach Club and Nightclub.
This is the best.
Perched 11 stories atop the Strip's only freestanding luxury boutique hotel, the Cromwell, this beach club oasis offers some of the steamiest sights in and of Vegas.
What more could you ask for?
The brainchild behind this splashy design is French producer Victor Dre.
You know, I'm not afraid of anything, so when I have an idea, I just go for it.
Victor originally made his name in the fashion world in the 70s. And in the 80s, he moved on to producing movies. He's the guy that brought us Weekend at Bernie's. Next, he turned his eye to nightlife in LA, where in 1993, he launched the restaurant Dre's in the Beverly Hills Hotel. He considered opening a location in New York City as well, but feeling it would take him too far from his family, he decided to head to Vegas instead. He opened a steady stream of restaurants and nightclubs, and then in 2012, he got the urge to do something completely different. He decided to build a beach club in the middle of the desert. and he wanted to put it someplace where they could take advantage of views and all the other hotels and attractions on the Strip. He realized it needed to be on top of an existing casino. 11 stories up on the Cromwell was the perfect location. But after they began construction, they quickly learned it wasn't going to be as easy as they thought. Their plan to add 2 new stories to the top of the building and 7 pools would require the addition of massive support structures to the building. The materials for the 65,000 square foot club had to be craned up from the busiest street in the city. It took nearly 2 years of design and construction to get the new Dray's Club up to Victor's standards. And it was a risky role, but Victor bet that if he built a place where the good times begin and views never end, it would draw a crowd.
It was everything to be made.
In 2014, the beach club opened, and Victor's gamble paid out.
This is like always popping. Everyone wants to be at Dray's.
By day, you can make a splash in one of the 7 sparkling pools, while enjoying the pulsating sounds of world-renowned DJs.
We dance in the pool, we dance on the ground. Great DJs.
And noshing poolside from one of the 150 VIP tables, or catch some shade in the lavish bungalows, or one of the 8 towering 30-foot live palm trees.
We have created something very, very unique. You should come at night and see.
We hope you've had enough sleep, because when the sun goes down, the rooftop transforms into a heart-thumping nightclub, where you can dance the night away under the stars, or find yourself hypnotized by the panoramic views of the best Vegas has to offer. Surrounded by architecturally stunning hotels soaring overhead, and the enchanted iconic dancing water fountains at the Bellagio just below.
We are closer here to the fountain than the room at the Bellagio himself.
The multi-sensory experience will blow your mind and your wallet. Bottle service here starts at $500. So bring your love of the prettier things in life, because the views from inside the club and out on the Strip can't be beat. Still to come, the tall tale of this tower is totally true. On the northern, old end of the Strip, you'll find dozens of hotels and casinos that represent a Vegas era that was a little more seedy. But this is also the epicenter of Vegas's rebirth as a family destination. As Sin City began its transformation, lots of iconic new properties took over. The Sahara Hotel and Casino, Circus, and the Wynn and Encore resorts. But there's one undeniable king of views on the Strip, stretching 1,149 feet into the sky and providing you with some of the highest views and thrills in the hemisphere. This is Stratosphere Tower. The observation deck here is the absolute highest in the city.
Probably one of the best places you can come to Las Vegas to see the whole city.
In fact, with 107 stories, it's the highest in the state.
I don't think I've ever seen anything so beautiful than this. This is amazing.
And there may be a lot of technicalities on whose structure is tallest, but this one is still credited as being the highest freestanding observation tower in the U.S.
View is 360 degrees. You can see everywhere in the city of Las Vegas.
It's a big, very tall building, and its history runs deep. As they say, big things have small beginnings. The Stratosphere Hotel and Casino is actually the last hotel inside the city limits of Las Vegas. The other big names on the Southern Strip are actually in the unincorporated towns of Paradise and Winchester. In the 1970s, as the fringe of Vegas started to fill in, colorful Vegas character Bob Stupak decided it was time to get into the casino business. In 1974, he opened his first casino and showed great tenacity 2 months later when it burned to the ground. He immediately rebuilt it and decided it needed an attraction to set it apart. So out front, he created the world's biggest sign. That blew over in a windstorm. But he didn't give up on his dream of the largest sign. His new plan was for an 1,800-foot tall neon sign that would tower over Las Vegas. Investors convinced him to change the sign to an observation tower, and the FAA forced him to reduce it to a slightly less outrageous 1,149 feet.
He wanted something to stand out as you drove in from California.
Construction of the $32 million Stupak Tower began in February of 1992 and progressed slowly for over a year. But it was interrupted when a fire suddenly erupted on the half-finished tower. The damaged building and equipment delayed the opening by almost 2 years. Renamed the Stratosphere Tower, it opened on April 30th, 1996. Unfortunately, it wasn't a huge success. Cost overages and the fire forced the Stratosphere Corporation into bankruptcy just 2 months later. To keep the doors open, there was a big corporate buyout. A lot of money changed hands, and Bob Stupak lost control of his dream. But since then, the tower has seen constant updates and modernization. It has 2 observation decks, a revolving restaurant, a mall, and 4 penthouse suites. It even has the fastest elevator in the world, whisking you up 869 feet to the observation deck in less than 30 seconds.
Most guests are surprised when they get in those elevators and suddenly you're there.
The biggest addition to the tower, and the best way to take in the views of Vegas, is on the multiple theme park rides clinging to the top of the Stratosphere.
Here he comes, 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, that was really high up.
The city is absolutely beautiful from this height.
Absolutely the best view you can possibly get.
The Stratosphere is a Vegas icon whose looks and views bridge the old Vegas with the new. Coming up,
It's like a front row seat to your own show. It's pretty cool.
this high-rolling nightclub will have you betting on the view. Since you're in Vegas for a while, you'll need to make a choice. Stay in the older North Strip or head south to the new Strip. In its 110-year history, Las Vegas has steadily grown from just a few hotel casinos downtown to the more than 30 spread out between the old Strip and the new Strip. The original casinos were focused strictly on gambling and the 6 other deadly sins. But as the city expanded to the south, it became just as much about stretching your entertainment dollar as gambling away your last penny. Each decade has seen a burst of new builds, sometimes at the cost of some of the old classics. Probably the biggest rush of expansion happened in the 1990s, when almost every name-brand luxury hotel casino pulled out all the stops for a new resort. The Bellagio, the Luxor, MGM Grand, and almost a dozen others synonymous with Vegas popped up during the economic boom created by the rise of the internet. And each one also provides name-brand entertainment worthy of even the oldest Vegas showpieces.
The old stuff was good then. This is modern.
So if you rested up and recharged your wallet, we suggest seeing the views at the southern edge of Las Vegas Boulevard called the New Strip, despite pushing 40 years old. And one of the best places to see and control the views is a hidden gem, Hyde Nightclub. rollers ready to beat the odds should head here. Part of the magnificent Bellagio, this indoor-outdoor nightclub has the clearest views of the fountains in the city.
This is the best place to see the fountains, absolutely.
But you'd better focus on your game, because $4,000 to $10,000 buy-ins might just drain your bank account. When the economy started to slip in the late aughts, rather than expanding, casinos started looking for ways to improve the experience at existing properties. This high-end elite nightclub replaced an existing lounge, which was underperforming. Hyde's creators designed it to take advantage of something no other club in the city has: the fountains.
It's like a front row seat to your own personal theater show. It's pretty cool.
They're so close, in fact, that you'd get soaked if it weren't for the glass wall protecting you. The Bellagio fountains cost over $40 million to build and are an internationally known spectacle. So why not incorporate its 22 million gallons and its 1,214 jets, firing 460 feet into the sky, into your views for free?
I would definitely sign up if somebody paid for it.
Hyde wasn't created to provide a bumping beat. Instead, it was designed to be an intimate place to win or lose a whole lot of money. Dozens of semi-private areas dot the club, providing a place to nurse broken egos and soar retirement plans. But if you do hit it big, really big, the club provides perhaps the most unique way ever created to get its money back in a hurry. It's a win-win though, and it's probably the most unique experience in a city on experience overload. For $250,000, the club provides you with a 30-liter bottle of Ace of Spades, the equivalent of 40 bottles of champagne, and they send a guarded gold-plated box to your outdoor VIP table. What's in the box?
The button. The fountains go off at midnight. You can push that button and turn the fountains back on.
That's right. It lets you decide when to start that incredible show at the Bellagio fountains.
That view out there is worth more than $250,000.
Today, only one high roller has rolled high enough to pay for this extravagant package. So there's still plenty of opportunity for you to make your mark.
People come to Vegas to do something they'll only do once in a lifetime, and you're not going to get many chances to turn on the Bellagio fountains.
Or you can just enjoy the atmosphere and the fountains on a timer, like the rest of us mere mortals. Still to come, views from this lodge are like a dream come true.
You wake up and you can't believe where you are.
It's important to remember on your next trip that there's another world right outside Vegas. Head just a little north of the Grand Canyon into Utah, just 140 miles from the Strip, and you'll find Zion National Park. This park is the 5th most visited in the country, with nearly 4.5 million overnight visitors a year. That's even more than Yellowstone. There are 58 national parks in the U.S., and at 229 square miles, it's ranked about 34th in size, which means there's an awful lot of competition to get into the park.
I think the views here, it's beautiful because everything is so close.
And if you can't make it, well, we're here to help. In 1909, President William Taft named the area a national monument to protect Zion Canyon, which is usually the center of everyone's attention.
I think it's really special because it's really pristine and it looks like it hasn't been touched for like 1,000 years.
This jaw-dropping canyon and surrounding area was created over 150 million years of erosion.
The canyon erodes vertically, and that's what makes it unique.
And the highest peak here is Horse Ranch Mountain, stretching 8,726 feet into the flawless blue sky.
People come from all over the world to climb that.
But you won't need to go that high to see the views. Hiking or horseback will get you out to the truly epic views only this park can provide.
The views from the horseback riding are just impressive. The peaks that we get to see while we're in here, it's just, God's country is gorgeous.
This park is crisscrossed with dozens of trails taking you to wonders like Great Heart Mesa, the Temple of Sinawava, and the ominously named Mountain of Mystery.
It seems like you could reach out and touch it, but it's really far away.
Yeah. There are so many views here, you shouldn't even try to see them all in a day, or even 2 or 3. In order to experience these views the right way, you definitely need to book some time way in advance at the historic Zion Lodge.
The lodge is really built around the park.
With views of the Zion Mountain on either side of the valley, the Virgin River runs through the canyon.
I've seen this river running at about 1,500 cubic feet per second.
Giving life to the animals here who will walk right up to you for a quick snack. There are 122 rooms in the lodge, each carefully designed by a famous architect. And to see how this authentic frontier lodge was built here, you'll need to grab your sunscreen and your time machine and head back to 1869.
It's like looking in on the past. It's really cool.
The last spike of the Transcontinental Railroad was driven at Promontory Summit, right here in Utah by the Union Pacific Railroad. It opened up a new avenue for freight, and as other lines were added, tourism from the coast was finally possible.
The idea was to bring people from the East Coast out here to enjoy the splendor of the national park.
You probably noticed, but the American Southwest is both beautiful and deadly. Cowboys and frontiersmen had been making a life here for more than 100 years already, but the Union Pacific management knew they couldn't expect tourists to sleep under the stars no matter how pretty they might be. So they began building accommodations all throughout the Southwest. And in 1929, they created probably their most famous destination, the Zion Lodge. Have you ever noticed how a lot of the national park lodges and structures in the U.S. look similar? That's because most of them are designed by Gilbert Stanley Underwood, including Zion Lodge. It was so well designed it withstood over 40 years of harsh frontier weather until it was consumed by a fire on January 26, 1966. The lodge and its views were so heavily traveled that the government committed to rebuilding the lodge, and it happened in less than 100 days. Unfortunately, the quickly erected prefab was a major eyesore.
It looked very utilitarian. It was not befitting our canyon.
But it wasn't until 1990 when the original look of the Underwood-designed lodge was restored. And in 2010, the lodge and cabins were updated again, this time to bring sustainability into view.
It was designed to blend into the environment.
It now fits perfectly into the natural environment with a nearly zero carbon footprint. The rooms have been designed to offer modern conveniences like AC and TV, but still make you feel like you're roughing it on the frontier.
Views from the rooms are absolutely breathtaking. I mean, you kind of wake up and you just can't believe where you are.
We don't want to make too big of a deal out of the lodge because seriously, there are some absolutely amazing views of Mother Earth here for you and your family.
Come out here and see deserts and mountains and buttes. I mean, these are the best views that I've ever seen.
Yeah. 110%, 110%.
It deserves a spot on any bucket list, but the lodge is sold out years in advance, so plan your trip here carefully because it remains the very best place to see the views at Zion National Park.